Women are nothing but machines for producing children, Napoleon Bonaparte famously stated. This assertion seems preposterous at first glance. Who wouldn't be drawn to a man of might, ambition, and dominance? However, true greatness demands a heavy toll. Exceptional men are often absent in the conventional sense. They are consumed, engulfed by warfare, strategic thinking, and overarching visions. Their relentless pursuit of destiny leaves scant room for tending to emotional needs, seeking constant validation, or being domesticated. Napoleon grasped this reality not only as a sovereign but also as a lover. His correspondence with Josephine, filled with passion, desperation, and even vulnerability, was met with cold infidelity. While he was forging an empire, she was entertaining other men. It dawned on him that not all women are captivated by a man's greatness. In fact, many are intimidated by it. This is because greatness does not yield. It cannot be confined within the tranquility of a home or secured by routine affection. Greatness is demanding, volatile, and insatiable. For numerous women, this is not love but a threat. Consequently, they gravitate towards the manageable, the secure, the ordinary. A mediocre man poses no profound questions, engages in no significant battles, and pursues no lasting legacy. He is pliable, readily available, and dependent, his identity revolving around her rather than a personal mission. This makes him appealing, not for his inherent qualities but for his deficiencies. He lacks danger, sacrifice, and the risk of abandonment that accompanies a man dedicated to something greater than himself. Napoleon keenly observed this dynamic. Women are nothing but machines for producing children, he remarked, not out of malice but from a detached, imperial calculation. He reduced them to their biological function because, in his estimation, most did not transcend it. Most failed to comprehend the inner turmoil of a man who refused to lead an ordinary existence. He was no longer seeking affection. He had long ceased to prioritize it. His aim was to conquer truth, regardless of the pain it inflicted, especially if it did. And what he consistently witnessed was this: the higher a man ascends, the more solitary his path becomes. This isn't a deliberate choice of isolation, but a consequence of the fact that comfort, warmth, and emotional dependency cannot accompany one into the crucible of greatness. Observe the world around us today. We inhabit a society that feigns admiration for excellence, but only when it is convenient, entertaining, aesthetically pleasing, and doesn't disturb the comfort of the masses. However, a man possessing genuine power, profound depth, and true vision instills fear in people, particularly in intimate relationships. Napoleon understood this through bitter experience. He was a master of warfare, a force of nature, yet even he was reduced to pleading in love letters, imploring Josephine not to betray him. She did so nonetheless. Why? Because power doesn't captivate the heart in the same way that predictability does. Power may secure victories, but it rarely earns emotional loyalty. Women, even those in close proximity to greatness, often prioritize companionship over conquest. Do you believe this has changed? The modern man often believes that by working harder, achieving greater success, and leveling up, he will finally be loved. But Napoleon would scoff at this notion, for he knew the harsh truth. The more exceptional you become, the less lovable you appear to those who crave stability over struggle. This is why so many women subconsciously are drawn to men who are their inferiors. Men they can control, men who are simply grateful for their presence. These are the mediocre men. They don't cause disruptions, they don't demand silence for contemplation, and they don't vanish into obsession or sacrifice the present for a future only they envision. These men don't challenge a woman, they revolve around her. And to be the center of someone else's universe holds an intoxicating allure. However, for the man striving for greatness, this kind of unwavering devotion is rare, almost unattainable, because he doesn't orbit, he ascends. In doing so, he undermines the very foundation of modern relationships, comfort. Napoleon himself lived this contradiction. The man who could command armies was still perceived as emotionally distant, excessively focused, and cold. But how else does one forge an empire? How else does a man etch his name into the annals of history? It isn't achieved by remaining stagnant and whispering sweet nothings. It's achieved by transcending the ordinary. And in that transformation, he becomes less of a partner and more of a force. Do you prioritize comfort or legacy? Napoleon had already discerned that most women choose the former. Every man who has tasted the bitter fruit of betrayal while building something significant understands Napoleon's sentiment. You dedicate everything, your time, your intellect, your very essence, to a vision, only to return home and find yourself resented for it, not appreciated or admired, but resented because your greatness serves as a stark reminder of others' mediocrity. Your focus is interpreted as detachment, your ambition as arrogance, and your silence as emotional absence. But men like Napoleon weren't destined for coddling. They were born to lead, to create, to dominate. And that type of man is incompatible with the emotional expectations of modern relationships. Let me be clear, Napoleon harbored no hatred for women. He simply recognized the truth that most men are too afraid to acknowledge, that a woman's stated desires often diverge from her actual choices. She may admire greatness in theory, but she often settles for convenience in practice. She may praise ambition, yet she builds a life with submission. And if you believe love will shield you from this reality, consider why so many brilliant, disciplined, self-made men are abandoned by those who once professed their love. It's because love without understanding is a ticking time bomb. And most women fail to grasp the immense cost of a man's disciplined path, the sleepless nights, the years of scorn, the isolation, the relentless effort. They see the outcome but not the arduous journey behind it. And when that journey never ceases, when you continue to climb instead of settling, they begin to resent the very fire they once admired. This is why Napoleon spoke with such detachment about women. He had explored the path of romantic idealism, and it had failed him. Not because he was incapable of love, but because love couldn't keep pace with his destiny. And when a man chooses destiny over domesticity, he must also embrace loneliness. That is the brutal age-old trade-off, power or peace, but rarely both. You can have her heart, or you can have the world, but not simultaneously. And those who attempt to navigate the middle ground are inevitably torn apart. Thus, the great man walks alone, not out of a desire for solitude, but because he outgrows what the world offers in return for his conformity. Napoleon didn't seek isolation. It was thrust upon him by the weight of his vision. The higher a man climbs, the fewer understand the rarefied air he breathes. Women desire to be seen, heard, and held. But man consumed by a mission has no time to cater to the delicate needs of emotional validation. He is not inherently cold. He is hardened by purpose. This is what modern society refuses to acknowledge, that most people, including women, are terrified of the truly great, not because they are malevolent, but because they cannot be possessed. They cannot be domesticated. You cannot predict a man who serves a purpose higher than love. And so, the world demonizes him. He's labeled toxic, unavailable, a poor listener. Of course, he doesn't listen. He's preoccupied with making history. Napoleon was vilified for numerous reasons: his ambition, his conquest, his ego. But at its core, he was punished for refusing to bow down to love, to tradition, to comfort. His downfall wasn't his power, but the delusion that those closest to him could ever truly comprehend it. Ultimately, even the emperor is abandoned by those he fought to protect. Even the lion dies alone. And here's the uncomfortable truth that no one wants to voice. A man must make a choice. He must choose between building an empire or building a nest. One will grant him a legacy. The other will offer warmth, but never both. While mediocre men are loved, praised, and remembered as good, it is the great men, lonely, misunderstood, exiled, who carve their names into the fabric of time. So, if you are a man pursuing truth, pursuing greatness, pursuing something immortal, you must prepare to be unloved. You must prepare to be doubted, to be abandoned, because you are not safe, and that makes you dangerous. But never forget this: the world ultimately bows to danger. Perhaps you're still questioning why. Why would a woman reject a man who is disciplined, visionary, relentless, a man who moves mountains? Why would she turn away from the storm that reshapes the world in favor of the breeze that barely stirs the leaves? Because the truth, the stark reality, is this: great men are mirrors. They reflect everything others are not. Their ambition reveals complacency. Their silence reveals insecurity. Their solitude exposes dependency. And for most women, indeed for most people, that mirror is unbearable. To be with a man who needs nothing from you emotionally, who doesn't seek your approval, who isn't afraid to walk alone, that isn't romantic. That is terrifying. It signifies that you cannot control him. You cannot seduce him with softness or hold him captive with affection. You can only follow or be left behind. And women don't favor that gamble. They will seldom admit it, but many women don't choose men based on admiration. They choose based on emotional leverage, a man who can be molded, a man who can be relied upon to stay when she cries, to pause his life when she doubts, to make her feel like the center of his universe. But the great man, he doesn't pause, he doesn't orbit, he builds, and he bleeds for it. He is not heartless, but his heart is disciplined. He is not unloving, but love is not his mission. And that makes him unattainable for the average woman, because she isn't seeking to walk beside a titan. She's seeking a companion who makes her feel safe, heard, and prioritized. That is the quiet, shameful reason so many women settle upward in appearance, but downward in essence. He looks like a man, he talks like a man, but inside he is soft clay, molded by her moods, her needs, her worldview. He poses no threat to her comfort, and therefore he poses no threat at all. And here's the bitter irony: she will never truly admire him. She may love him, she may cling to him, she may even marry him. But deep down, she knows she didn't choose a king. She chose a servant who resembled one. You, the man who won't kneel, the man who won't stop, the man who burns at 2 a.m. crafting something no one else yet sees. You must understand, you were never rejected for your flaws. You were rejected for your fire, for the intensity of your soul, for the fact that being with you demanded she become more. And most are unwilling. They don't seek to rise, they seek to rest. So do not envy the mediocre man. Pity him. Because though he may be loved, he will never be respected. He will never be needed in a way that stirs the depths of the soul. He will be tolerated, used, perhaps even cherished, but never truly followed, because nothing about him inspires leadership. As for you, you were never meant to be loved like the rest. Your life is a storm, not a lullaby. Your path is steep, not soft. And your reward will not come from comfort. It will come from conquest. Not conquest over others, but conquest over yourself, the loneliness, the doubts, the whispers urging you to surrender and conform to their expectations. Don't let them go. Let her go. Release the yearning to be understood, because you were not built for a woman's comfort. You were built for a man's purpose. And yes, it will cost you. You may walk alone. You may die misunderstood. But if you stay the course, if you endure, the world will not forget your name. Because in the end, no woman erects statues. No woman rewrites history. No woman leads nations into battle or transforms vision into reality. Men do. And they do it alone, bleeding, focused, unloved, but unstoppable. So cease asking why she didn't choose you. You already know. She didn't desire greatness. She desired comfort. And you, my brother, are not comfort. You are danger, and the world still bows to danger. If this message shattered your illusions, if it compelled you to view life and love with new eyes, then don't walk away quietly. Like, share, and subscribe. Support this channel because truth, like greatness, is not meant to be comfortable or cheap. It is meant to ignite everything you thought you knew. Cheers.